is your marriage going to look like this year? Will you continue to be frustrated at the cycles that keep repeating? Will the disconnect between the two of you keep growing? Or will you do something different and get the help that you need to create your extraordinary marriage? It's time to break the ineffective cycles and build connection. Apply for coaching today at oneextraordinarymarriage.com/coaching.
From Naples, Florida, this is the One Extraordinary Marriage Show, where being busy is overdone, romancing is fun, and scheduling sex has taken the guesswork out of wondering when you're going to get some. I'm Tony DeLorenzo, your co-host, along with my beautiful wife, Elisa. From coast to coast and around the world, thank you for joining us. It's time to talk sex, love, and commitment. Give us a call or text us on the Hug Hotline at 858-876-5663 or send us an email to hugs@oneextraordinarymarriage.com. In this episode, we're talking about the emotional letdown that comes after something you've anticipated and the impact this can have on your marriage.
And McKenzie had this to say about letdown. She said, letdown is inevitable, but if you close the distance, so is connection and so is joy. Bringing that all together in today's episode. But first, we start every episode with a hug. And a hug is an opportunity to celebrate your insights, your breakthroughs, where you're going to take action. And this hug comes from an email that we received in response to the podcast episode on male hormonal transition. This husband says, I just listened to your episode on male hormone transition. Thank you so much for this. I just remarried the love of my life, 35 years to the day after our first marriage, and almost 33 years after we had divorced.
What? Wow.
Yeah, that's a story. To say this woman is my dream girl wouldn't do justice to how I feel for her. And yet, throughout the day, our perfect day 2.0, I was just feeling off. Leading up to it, I'd had weekends and months of anger and always attributed it to work stress. But this episode made things so clear. The infrequent anger, pause in activity, the loss of muscle mass, and that belly fat, all while my doctor said, quote, everything is normal and within range. I finally feel like I can not only explain my mood to my bride, but I can also move beyond the constant, I'm sorry, I don't know what's wrong, to taking action. My wife has been so amazingly supportive through every silent afternoon when I just didn't want to be around people or face the world. She deserves the man she fell in love with. And thanks to your brave honesty, Tony, I have a path and a plan to be that man.
Wow, that's so awesome. And thank you so much for this hug. I mean, truly, for those of you who are new, welcome to the One Extraordinary Marriage Show. Here at One Extraordinary Marriage, our mission is to impact one marriage. And last week's episode obviously did that for this amazing newlywed couple. And that means a lot. It means a lot to me to know that being open, honest, and transparent, something we've been doing here for 15 years, has had that impact. And so thank you for sharing that with us.
Absolutely. And, it's amazing how those conversations, that was a conversation that just launched out of Tony joining me for Menopause and Sock. And the next thing you know, we're doing this episode and here you go. It's like one domino falling and it creates such a ripple effect. And, as we jump into today's episode, for those of you that have been around for a little bit, you've likely heard us talk about different events that we've done over the years, whether it's been conferences that we've hosted or attended, speaking at church events, and even the marriage getaways that we've hosted over the last 3 years. And for Tony and I, one of the key aspects of any of those events is the anticipation in that lead up to the day, the weekend, the week, right?
Absolutely.
It's all the little things. And for your marriage, that might look like, a vacation that you've got coming up, a milestone moment with your kids, or even those significant anniversaries, right? There are those things that we look forward to because they naturally have anticipation. And anticipation is this really beautiful thing because the lead up to the event has, us thinking about like, what is it going to be like? How are things going to go? And if you're the one planning it, well, then it's like the next level because you're thinking about all the little details. You're thinking about how can I make the interactions? How can I make the moments? What is going to really make a difference in someone's life, right? And
absolutely.
And then when you're on the other side, when you're the guest, you also have those anticipatory feelings of, what's this going to be like? What are my thoughts or my dreams for the event and how's it going to happen? And so there's anticipation on both sides. So this isn't just, Tony and I talking about like having anticipation before an event because we have anticipation before vacations or, travel with our kids or things like that. And when you're in that place, there's so much to look forward to. And then you're in the moment. You're on the trip. You're seeing something special happen with your kids. For us, we see all of the one family come together, and you're there and you're experiencing it in real time, and you've got all the emotions and the connections and all of that happening.
All of that excitement.
All of it. And then there's the after. There's the drive home. There's the unpacking of the suitcases. There's the returning back to work. There's the, everybody's not here. Mm-hmm. I've gotten used to, if it's a vacation, I'm used to having the whole family together or not being at work. If it's, a trip with friends, like it was so great. Like I was literally on Facebook a few hours ago and seeing some of our friends travel with their friends and people that we know. And I'm like, oh my gosh, yeah, it's so great when you like do vacations with friends. But then everybody goes back to work or goes back home. And then you get into this place of emotional letdown. This big reality that, gosh, I was like so excited about that trip and it was so much fun while we were on it. And now life feels like kind of the same old, same old.
I would even say on that trip, if we looked at our pillars of intimacy, how they're heightened in many different ways. I know for Elisa and I, different times and different trips can heighten different pillars of intimacy. For some, that emotional connection. If it's just you and your spouse and you don't have the children, that ability to connect without being interrupted. Amen to that. Can I get an amen? Like you're able to have a conversation with, hey mom, hey dad, pulling on you, whatever it may be. You know what I mean?
Well, just last weekend, we were at Marco Island with some friends, and we literally sat in the ocean. It was low tide, which in the Gulf is just spectacular.
Wonderful.
And it was low tide. I think we sat in the ocean that afternoon for like probably 2 hours, just having a conversation.
2 or 3 hours, yeah.
Just sitting there in the sun and surf. It was fabulous.
Yep, Elisa's living her best life here in Naples, Southwest Florida. We love it. But, if you looked at your pillars of intimacy, you can be more intentional around them. You can prioritize them more. And so that has a big impact because for many of us, we live that framework.
Mm-hmm. And then you come back and the laughter is gone and the time, the dedicated time with others is gone. And, you're in that day to day and you are in this place of just feeling blah, or some will call it the emotional letdown, or it's even termed in a lot of articles and whatnot as post-event blues. And what I want to say is if you've experienced that, whether it's on, maybe it's a couple's getaway that you and your spouse took or, family trip, or even, as this episode is first being released, there are a lot of graduations. Mm-hmm. Like I'm thinking about the fact that this will come out early May. All of you that have got, high school seniors, college seniors, you're all getting ready to do this big graduation and huge life transition. And there's just this sadness or emptiness or maybe even a little disappointment or frustration that it's just all over. And, it's interesting because I started doing some research. I'm like, well, what causes this? Right? How do we have these swings? What's going on inside of us, right? That it's not just this like psychological thing that we think we're going up and down, but is there a physiological phenomena that's happening? And it's really interesting because researchers say that the anticipation pre-event and even in the event actually releases endorphins. Your body is releasing those like happy little feel good chemicals that go flowing through your body, and then they're gone. Mm-hmm. When you're out of that space after the event, after the vacation, and even after the getaway, that's just the two of you.
Yeah. And so where this came up and this whole episode came up was this happens in our marriages. And after our most recent marriage getaway cruise, it was just one of those highs that I was on. And as Elisa said, the anticipation, the preparing, I do a lot of that here. I'm the one really making sure, we're getting out the cards and the packages and the emails. And
Can I just say something?
Sure.
I did not actually get to say this when we were on the cruise. And I love that I actually do get to say it here in the podcast. But for any of you that have ever traveled with One Extraordinary Marriage, whether it's the land-based or cruise-based, I just want you to know, Tone, how much I appreciate. People do not know how much you do behind the scenes to make those trips above and beyond for all attendees. And I because of some of the configuration this time around, I did not get a chance to recognize you and appreciate you. But you do level up what the experience is like, and you need to be recognized for that. So if you've ever traveled, shoot him a thank you, because he's the one that makes it spectacular. I just get to pick out the towels.
Yes, for our marriage getaway. And so this one was special. We this was our third one. It was supposed to be our last one, but everybody on it was so excited about it. We're looking at doing it again, and that's awesome. But it's what happened on the cruise with these couples that was really spectacular. Our land-based ones were amazing, and I loved them. But there is something about being on this cruise. It may be for Elise and I, it was our first time cruising. So thank you, Jesus, that we didn't get seasick or anything of that nature. It was a fun experience for us in many different ways. I mean, from watching shows to being in the Love and Marriage show ourselves to going to the piano lounge and singing along with, I think at one time, I think the last night we were there, we had 14 couples there singing along and dancing. So awesome. To where we got to spend our sessions, which was in the Olive or Twist Lounge up on the 14th deck with windows all around us, getting to see the sea and everything that we got to do. It was amazing. And for me, when I say love you guys at the end of an episode, I mean it. I really, truly believe we are a family. And that to me was probably one of the coolest things I've experienced since I was a kid with my entire family, like my family, my blood family. And this was one of those moments. And so when we got off the ship, and and the cool thing too now is, we're in Fort Lauderdale, and we're an hour and 45 minutes home. Like, we just drive home, and it's cool, but there was no transition. And so we come home and we're doing our thing. We'd been gone a week. We needed to get caught up with things here at One Extraordinary Marriage and just at the house and life and everything. And so come midweek, that first week we were back, I was struggling. I really did have those after vacation blues and sort of a letdown, and I wasn't too sure what was really going on, and because it hadn't happened before, and it just transpired into I was leading the following week a live online marriage class that went completely sideways. For those of you who were there, I'm sorry. Again, I do apologize for the way that turned out. There is no replay, so please don't ask for the replay. We deleted that. It's done. And to the point where I was just in tears. I literally was just in tears going, what is going on, Tony? You're living the life you want to live. You're passionate about what you get to do, and yet you're just feeling off. And I just want to say this here too. This isn't depression. This isn't like I'm sliding and I didn't take medication or something. If you're in that spot, please seek your medical advisors and your doctors for that. This is just that letdown of, man, it was so joyous. And I felt just a struggle even connecting with Elisa in this time when I was saying, on the trip, you can connect on your 6 pillars of intimacy, or when you're away, you're looking at them and what are we doing here? And how I just felt off. And I was just trying to make it through each and every day. And obviously that culmination was that evening that I was doing the marriage class, and it blew up on me. And I just felt so bad for everybody who attended. I just remember just crying. And so thank you to those of you who did reach out to me though, and gave me a hey, it's okay. We all go there. Mine just happened to be in front of a number of people.
Well, and the reality is that those post-event, post-vacation, post-milestone blues, they can happen to any of us. And if you're not aware of that dynamic, if you're not aware of what's going on, it can actually have really detrimental effects. And that's where, so often, and you've heard us say this before, but I'm going to say it again, that's where having strategies can actually make all the difference between, is that going to completely derail us, or is this a situation that we need to address and actually deploy our strategies? And we're going to talk about what those strategies are after this break. If you've been a listener of this show for any length of time, you know sleep is something we've struggled with. Whether it's my insomnia or the pain in Tony's shoulder, there have been lots of sleepless nights in our bedroom. Now, thanks to our Helix memory foam mattress topper, we are both sleeping so well. It's nice to wake up and actually feel like it's a good morning. Helix offers a range of specialized 3-inch toppers to meet your unique sleep preference. Our favorite is the luxury foam. Go to helixsleep.com/one for 27% off site-wide plus free bedding bundle. That's a sheet set and mattress protector with any Luxe or Elite mattress order. That's exclusive for listeners of the One Extraordinary Marriage Show. That's helixsleep.com/one for 27% off site-wide plus the free bedding bundle, the sheet set, and the mattress protector with any Luxe or Elite mattress order. helixsleep.com/one. And if you get a post-checkout survey, please let them know One Extraordinary Marriage sent you. It's crazy how your neck is one of the first places to show signs of aging. It goes unnoticed for decades, and then one day you're like, what is happening to my neck? That's why Go Pure Beauty developed the revolutionary Tighten and Lift Neck Cream. Powered by clinically proven active ingredients, this advanced formula is designed to visibly firm, smooth, and rejuvenate the delicate skin on your neck and chest in as little as 4 to 8 weeks. See, the skin on your neck is thinner, more delicate, and less oily than facial skin, and it requires specialized care. Go Pure's Firming Complex targets the unique concerns of the neck while nourishing and strengthening your skin for a more lifted, youthful look. I can't wait to get this product and see what it does for me. Just because I'm aging doesn't mean my skin has to look older. With over 1 million jars sold, this beauty secret is no longer a secret. For a limited time, our listeners get 25% off Go Pure with code MARRIAGE at checkout. Just head to gopurebeauty.com/marriage, use code MARRIAGE, and you're all set. And after you buy, do us a favor. When they ask where you heard about GoPure, tell them it was from our show. We're back, and we're talking about those strategies that you can deploy when there are those post-event blues, when there is that emotional letdown after an event. And again, I just want to affirm as a person and as a coach that when you have those feelings of emptiness or sadness or disappointment or whatever it might be that something's over, like, can I just tell you, it's normal. Mm-hmm. Right? Like, knowing that there is research that backs the fact that anticipation and being in the moment increases your endorphins, and then they diminish. Like, your body is doing something. It's not all in your head. Right. So let me just put that out there. It's normal. The question is, like, or the encouragement is, what do you do then? Right? What do you do when you're in that place, when you become aware, or your spouse makes you aware, because sometimes you might not be fully aware and you need a little nudge, that you're experiencing this? And there are just a couple of different things that you can start to add into your marriage toolbox. The first thing that I would encourage is practice gratitude, right? Express gratitude for what the experience was. Instead of the, oh my gosh, like, I'm so bummed we're at home, or, I can't believe I have to go back to work tomorrow. Hey, what were, 3, 4, 5 things that made that event something that you are grateful for? That, like Tony said, this is one of the best trips, of his life. That's a pretty significant, I mean, I've been with the guy for, 30.
It doesn't top Machu Picchu with you, but yes.
Okay. But I'm just saying, I've been with this guy for a lot of trips, and to know that this one was like one of the top, that's a big deal. So you might do gratitude like that. You might actually even create something that is like a memento of the trip. I mean, I know one of the things that we did when we do this every time is we always take a group picture.
Yes.
And try and get all the couples together, that one significant group picture that says, this was this year's trip. And it's like it's usually one of the last days. It's the culmination of all of the experiences and the connections that people have made. And it's just a way to memorialize that experience.
And I will say here, even myself, I wasn't practicing gratitude verbally with Elisa. I wasn't processing it. I was trying to process it on my own, on my walks, or when I was working out, or throughout my day. And once I opened up my mouth and told Elisa what was going on, I began to, oh my gosh, you remember that? In the gratitude, I wasn't writing it down, but I was speaking it, and that began to diminish some of this, like, after experience blues, because I got to just, as she said, you get to relive it and you get to experience it in that moment. But you're also showing the gratitude of what happened.
Mm-hmm. Another strategy that you can deploy is take baby steps getting back into your routine. So that might be that you don't jump back into full productivity. Like if you can give yourself a little margin before you're like, literally head down, we're just back into real life, especially if it's been like an extended vacation or things like that where you need a little bit of transition. And I will say that because we were on a cruise, we had learned how to do that on the land-based trips, right? Where we take an extra day or two after everybody else leaves the resort, and we would stay and we're just like processing and we're having the moment, doing the gratitude and all that kind of stuff. And because, when a cruise ship docks and they're like, get the heck off the ship, you don't have the option to stay. You are get the heck off the ship. So there wasn't that like, oh, well, let's spend another night in, Fort Lauderdale or drive to Miami or just, take some time to process. We literally drove across the state, Alligator Alley, and we're like right back into Tony and Elisa, Naples, Florida, ready, set, go.
Right. And prior, like Elisa said, we learned not everybody can do it. You can't always take an extra day or two. Obviously, we didn't on this one. And it's something that it might not even had to have been a day or two at the location. It may have been something, here back at home. And for those of us who have older children and stuff, maybe we would have been able to do that. It just was one of those things that this time we didn't do. Last year when we were in Cancun, we did a much better job of it. And I do believe that helped. And so I think that's something to look at as well. And, being able to just go, okay, let's just get a moment before we're head down. And this time, like I said, we didn't do that.
Yeah. Another strategy, and this is one of our favorites, and for those of you that have been longtime listeners, it's not going to surprise you, but go on a walk and talk, right? Get out of your house, get moving with your spouse, and use the time to process all of the feelings, like what you were really happy about, what you might be sad about with it. It's over, just, the emptiness or whatever that might feel, because we're big fans of the walk and talk. Motion is really good, getting your body moving while your thoughts are moving and your mouth is moving as well. Like all of that comes together. And it's time to process as a couple. Instead of like Tony was saying, he's in that space where he's like got all these thoughts going through his head. And I can tell he's off, but he could have just been tired too, right? So I wasn't making that big a deal about it. But, it was so important for us to process this that we actually did go on a walk and talk as a couple. And that's going to be the exclusive podcast episode in Intimacy Mastery this month. And so it's just us having a conversation about what that whole trip looked like, how we felt about it, bringing in some of these strategies, talking through that as a couple. And, if you're not a member of Intimacy Mastery, you can join today at intimacymastery.com. And if you'll just use code podcast, you're going to get your first month for just $1. 2 more strategies. Connect with others who shared the experience. You and your spouse, when you travel together, then this is more like group, right? You have your own perceptions of how it went. If you travel with your kids, involving them in having those conversations. Hey, what was the highlight of the trip for you? How did you feel about that excursion or that event? If you traveled like in the group, it's been so interesting even to see in Intimacy Mastery couples who were on the cruise talking about their experiences or how they've been feeling post-cruise, right? But having that connection, because when we have those shared memories with others, we get to relive them individually. And that's so powerful, so powerful. And then finally, we started this episode talking about the fact that anticipation is a really powerful tool. Schedule something else to look forward to. You had so much anticipation for whatever this thing was, right? What's going to be the next thing? What is something that you can put on your calendar, whether it's a date night, a coffee date with your spouse, whether it is a walk and talk, or maybe you're planning that next vacation, that next trip, that next marriage getaway. What is it that has you looking forward to something so that you don't have to stay in this place of feeling like, ugh? And I want to say one last thing. Grace is a really powerful gift when you're dealing with emotional letdown. Extending it to your spouse, if needed, and extending it to yourself. Because we love having those life experiences. But when we're transitioning back, sometimes we're not the sweetest, warm, cuddly, fuzzy type person. Sometimes we might get a little prickly just in the readjustment. And so being able to extend grace goes a long way to creating that connection, just like the quote from McKenzie talking about, drawing closer to create connection and joy.
Yeah. Hey, no matter if you go on a short trip or a big trip, if it's a memorable moment that you are anticipating, you may have that emotional letdown. And I think what we're trying to share with you here today is to understand that even we go through it. I went through it here. And I'm just letting you know there is, a bright sunny sky in the horizon that you get to walk towards. And if you take these strategies and use them, you'll find that, and again, we're jumping into that summer season. Make sure you think about these before you go and after you get back. Because if you do, you're going to strengthen those 6 pillars of intimacy. And we would love to see you join us in Intimacy Mastery as we step in there and we continue to grow there and sharing resources so you can have the extraordinary marriage you desire. So jump on in. We'd love to see you there. Have yourself a fantastic week. We'll catch you next week. Love you guys. Thank you for listening to the One Extraordinary Marriage Show. If you love this podcast, please leave a review on Apple, Spotify, or wherever you are listening. Your review helps others find the show and know that it's the right fit for them and their marriage.